It's finally great to be out there with my brothers. I probably butchered that, and I probably shouldn't have said it that way, but I did. Now we're going to have to live with it. Hey, welcome into that Kingdom Come Word podcast where we talk all things Chiefs and NFL. And in case you didn't notice, I'm in a different place, surrounded by different things. This is my home recording room. Also serves as other things, but we're not going to talk about that. So with the holidays and everything going on this week, Josiah's with family, Dionte's with family, they're on vacation. We did have a few snafus with our recordings and some of our editing software this weekend, so some of the videos didn't get out this weekend, which is fine. We're just going to keep pushing on like we normally do. It is a short week, so we really decided to invest the time into this week's podcast and not missing a week of podcasts, as opposed to trying to fix everything from last week and try to get that stuff out to you. So that's just kind of what we're going to do. So I'm going to rock it by myself. I'm going to be here. In case you don't know, my name is Justyn, and I am one of the podcasters here at Thy Kingdom Come. So thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoy this, even though it's not with the same people and not in the same place. So the first thing we're going to kind of talk about is injuries this week. So going into last week, Juwan Taylor was injured with that hamstring injury still nagging. This will be the second straight week he's missed a full game. Joe Thuney did bounce out to left tackle and helped out there. And then we did have Mike Caliendo filling in for Joe Thuney at left guard. And they did, in my opinion, Joe Thuney did a lot better this week than he had done in the prior week, especially after having a full week of practice, knowing that he's probably going to start. During the game, Juwan Taylor did get injured as well. Did I say Juwan Taylor earlier? I meant DJ Humphries. If I said Juwan Taylor, I meant DJ Humphries. So we knew DJ Humphries wasn't playing. Juwan Taylor actually got hurt during the game, and Wanye Morris did fill in for him a little bit. He was, in my opinion, a lot better at the right side than he was at the left side, that being Wanye Morris. Juwan Taylor did originally get brought in to be our left tackle, and then when Wanye Morris started playing, him and Kingsley were fighting over that left tackle slot. So it's a little bit one of those things where it looks like they could switch, but this being late, or it being this late into the season, the coaching staff's probably not going to have them switch unless an injury occurs, kind of like what happened to Juwan Taylor this weekend. He is listed as questionable for this coming week against the Steelers, which is a short week, so we should see what happens. We'll see what happens. We'll wait to see. Hopefully, we'll find out sooner than later whether Juwan Taylor will start or not. And if not, I do think Wanye did a lot better than he has done in the past, and I do think he'll be ready to go if he's called upon. Chamari Connor did not play this weekend because he's still dealing with that concussion he suffered against the Browns. Still wishing him a speedy recovery. Here's the best to you, buddy. Another person that got injured this past week was Jack Cochran. He hurt his right foot. I think it's his right foot. He hurt one of his feet. He had a foot injury. He's actually going to be put on injured reserve and will miss likely the remainder of the season. He has a potential to come back for the AFC Championship game, I believe, if not the Super Bowl. So we'll see what happens there. That being said, Peyton Hendershot did come back into practice. They're probably going to look into signing somebody onto the active roster in place of Jack Cochran. As of right now, I don't have that person. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. A big thing that also happened is Chris Jones had a grade 1 calf strain this week. It was on a really good play, and he went down, and it almost looked like he was cramping a little bit. It looked like he it just discomfort. And I mean, he was joking with Travis Kelce as he's going to the sideline, which is always good to see, but it does seem a little more serious than initially thought. And with it being a short week, I think it's a smart idea that we should probably just rest Chris Jones and get him ready for the game against Denver, because we definitely need to win one of the last two to seal a playoffs or the number one overall seed for the Chiefs. So we'll see what happens there with Chris's calf. Hoping that he's good to go. We did also have a little bit of a scare with Xavier Worthy. He went out of the game, came out of the game kind of limping a little bit, looked very uncomfortable. Went into the locker room before halftime, and they listed him as questionable to return. But as they said that on the broadcast, he was actually out in the next play while they were saying it on the broadcast. So that was kind of cool to see. He looked like he was doing well. So excited to see him just succeed in that way. And the last news of the day, Hollywood Brown started. We'll get into his stats and a little bit of stuff later, but he started. Finally, we got to see him in a regular season game. He said it's finally great to be out there with my brothers. I probably butchered that, and I probably shouldn't have said it that way, but I did. Now we're going to have to live with it. So really excited to see him come out and make an impact, a true impact on the game with Patrick Mahomes having that extra weapon. So that was really exciting. Now kind of geared towards the game. My initial reaction is a little bit, man, I don't know if I have a word for it, but I mean, it was a little uneasy, but I actually felt like this was the absolute best our team has looked top to bottom all the way across the board. We did struggle a little bit still with the receivers and our defensive backs, and until Tank Dell got hurt, we were getting kind of torched, which, I mean, shout out to Tank Dell, man. He's a great ball player, and he had a knee dislocation, tore his ACL, among a few other things, and we're just wishing him a speedy recovery, man. That kid knows how to play ball. And God, he looks so young. It's kind of crazy how young he looks. But speedy recovery to you, Tank, and I really can't wait to see him back on the ball field. So shout out to you, buddy. But we did kind of continue what we did the week before with our defense. So we got a couple of sacks on C.J. Stroud. The first sack, I think, came in the second half, actually, where it was actually C.J., which was absolutely ridiculous, was running towards the sideline, and instead of throwing the ball out of bounds, he ran out of bounds for a 5-yard loss. I literally, I don't know what to say there. I don't know what he was thinking. That's one of those plays that comes with experience. Really, that guy needs to understand. If you're out of the pocket and you have a chance to get rid of the ball without taking a loss, get rid of the ball. Just get rid of it. So he'll learn a little bit more of that as it comes along. And to follow that up, Trent McDuffie, in back-to-back weeks, has had an interception. He went, I think it said, 47 games he had played prior to this year. Was it 47? Might have been 42. He had played 40-some-odd games. I think 47 includes the playoffs. But 47 games without an interception in his career. And now he's had an interception in back-to-back weeks, and baby, it's good. It's good. It's a good thing. We're excited to see him. One might say stoked. We're excited to see him succeed and do well. But yeah, that's kind of like my initial reaction. We kind of continue what we did last week, right? We played really well. Patrick Mahomes, looking at his individual stats, you wouldn't really know that we did super well. I mean, he was 28 of 41 for 260 yards. Cool. He did take one sack for 9 yards, and he did throw one touchdown. So that was a little. It seems like, okay, we got yards, but we didn't score. However, Patrick Mahomes did have another kind of decent game in the rushing game. He ran for 30 yards and a touchdown, I think with 27 of it coming on that first drive. He had 2 rushes. One was I believe, was it 15-yard rush? Yeah, it says it was a 15-yard TD run, and the other was a 12-yard run for a first down. And when he initially took off on the first down run, I was a little scared, just a little scared, because you don't really know how his ankle's really doing. But I think it proves that not only preparation that he does going into the season, but into games individually, kind of does help with his recovery of injuries. But I also think that it probably wasn't as bad as everyone initially thought. So a little relief there. Just kind of overall a great performance by Patrick Mahomes. I did want to see. I really wanted to see a DeAndre Hopkins touchdown because that would have hit my my underdogs fantasy thing. But that would have been cool. But aside from that, we did pretty good on rushing. So Isaiah Pacheco, he didn't have the greatest of games. Okay. He had, I want to say he had a decent game. He had 9 carries for 26 yards. There was a moment where he got, I wouldn't say pulled, but we had back-to-back runs on 3rd down and 4th down. It was 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1, and Isaiah Pacheco got 0 yards. And we wound up turning the ball over. After that, I think I'm so sorry. I think Isaiah Pacheco only had 1 more carry, and I think it was for 6 yards or 5 yards, something like that. And then Kareem Hunt kind of took over, which I've been saying this since Isaiah Pacheco has gotten back. Isaiah Pacheco should be kind of like our 1 and 2, first and second down back. And then Kareem Hunt should really be the guy that we're coming in or we're bringing in on 3rd and 4th down for those short yardage moments. Isaiah Pacheco, super fast, super shifty. However, he is not the guy to really make contact and keep going, right? Kareem Hunt has proven to be that guy consistently this year. This year, there's been, at least a dozen times I can think of off the top of my head where he was contacted in the backfield and turned it into a positive play. Kareem Hunt is just kind of that guy you need that has that extra bit of pop when it comes to kind of blowing up a defender and kind of pushing through him, right? So, it was just it was a little disheartening to see. It was Isaiah Pacheco's first truly bad game, in my opinion, since he's been back. He only averaged 2.9 yards a carry. Kareem Hunt went 11 for 55 overall, and he did have that touchdown. So that was pretty exciting to see him get back into the end zone for the first time in a few weeks. And then going on to receiving, Xavier Worthy really has kind of reached his Rashee Rice arc, right? If you remember last year, Rashee Rice's rookie year, he didn't come on until kind of later into the season, right? He was kind of battling getting used to the system, battling trying to find his place, find his role, And then late in the season, like mid-November, early December, Rashee Rice really kind of took stride and picked up the playbook a little bit better, and he started making absolute phenomenal plays. He started getting more yards, more catches, and more targets overall. And we're kind of seeing that with Xavier Worthy. For back-to-back weeks, he's had 11 targets. He had 7 catches this week for 65 yards. And, man, they came at great times. They were very precise passes by Patrick Mahomes. He made good plays on balls. He made good reads on defenders. He was breaking routes, and it was kind of fun to see. This is kind of where having Dionte would be good because he can break down routes a little bit better than I can. But that also kind of leads into Hollywood Brown being back. And man, between Hollywood Brown and DeAndre Hopkins, Patrick Mahomes truly showed trust in those two guys. Two of our newest guys on the team. Actually, I think the two newest receivers on the team, and DeAndre Hopkins and Hollywood Brown. And man, he showed trust in those guys. When we needed to make yards, it was DeAndre Hopkins and it was Hollywood Brown that were making plays. Hollywood Brown had that one catch for, 20 yards? And man, we threw the ball to him 8 times. He had 5 catches, 45 yards. That's a pretty good game for your first game back, coming back from injury. So we also had DeAndre Hopkins, 4 catches for 37 yards. Travis Kelce, 5 catches for 30 yards. Kareem Hunt, 2 catches for 24 yards. Noah Gray, 1 catch for 10 yards. So he had 8 different receivers that had catches. And man, it was really fun to see. It was the ball was being spread, everybody was being utilized. Juju Smith-Schuster had 1 target. He wasn't able to pick it up. Justyn Watson, man, there was a ball to Justyn Watson in the end zone, and it was just out of his reach. There was another ball that was to Xavier Worthy in the end zone that wound up being a field goal for us, and like it was, oh man, we were a couple close plays away from us having 41 points. So good on the offense. The offense looked really good in my opinion. Our line held better. Patrick Mahomes had more time in the pocket, and I really do think that we overall looked better as a team. Looking at the defensive side, George Karlaftis and Chris Jones both had 4 QB hits. George Karlaftis had a career high 7 pressures on the quarterback. Is that career? It might be season high, but he had 7 pressures on the quarterback. Man, CJ Stroud was just kind of running for his life. So that was really fun to see that our guys were just getting after it. Charles Omenihu caused a little bit of havoc. Joshua Williams did have an absolutely fantastic sack off the edge. It was a pass out to the right. And Joshua Williams just jumped the ball so well. It was one of those ones where our linebacker shows they're going, and then he backs up into coverage and rotates, and then our corner comes from the other side on a corner blitz, and it just looked really good. Joshua Williams played a really good game. He did have a pass defended as well, 5 solo tackles. So good on you, Joshua Williams. Glad to see you doing your thing at cornerback. Next, well, not really next, but another thing I wanted to highlight was our corners and our safeties being able to tackle on the flats. Right, there were, I think, 4 times I could count where there was a quick screen pass to the outside where our corner or our safety was blocked. They had a guy on them to block them, and we tackled the receiver for a 1 yard loss 4 separate times. I think the Houston had a total of 9 negative plays for minus 1 yard, which shows a lot about our defensive resiliency and being able to do that. I actually think that those was the stat. It might have been 9 plays for negative 1 yards on first down for Houston. So that's a that's a really big a really big what's the word I'm looking for? It's a really good defensive overall group mindset of being able to shed blocks and get the tackle when need be. Because if those blocks, if our guys got blocked and those receivers are running for days, and who knows what happens with the score and with points. So shout out to the Chiefs, shout out to the boys. We are officially 14-1. We're officially Matt Ariza and 1 after this 27-19 victory. So shout out to you guys. I'm gonna take a drink. So yeah, we're Matt Ariza and 1 now. We're Matt Ariza and 1, 14-1, baby. And now we're on to the Pittsburgh Steelers, which are kind of a whole. It's like a whole nother monster in and of themselves. So looking at the upcoming schedule for us, we've got. So that was our last home game of the year, was against Houston. We're going to Pittsburgh, and then we're going to Denver in Week 18. So when it comes to the Chiefs' schedule, it's not the easiest to end the season. That being said, we need a win. One of these last 2 wins clinches the number 1 overall seed for the Chiefs. So we need to win. Or the Bills to lose, but I would prefer us win this week in Pittsburgh. That way we can rest our guys Week 18 against Denver in Denver. So looking at the Steelers, we're going to kind of look at some injuries. I know TJ Watt has been dealing with a little bit of an injury, but he no longer has an injury designation. So he will be playing Wednesday against the Chiefs. Ben Skowronek, he's listed as questionable. He did have a little bit of a hip injury. George Pickens is out as of right now. He was estimated as a full participant in walkthrough practice Monday, but he did not practice. So George Pickens, as of right now, is listed as out. And then also Joey Porter Jr. is listed as questionable. Porter did suffer a knee injury in Saturday's loss to the Ravens, which really allows us to kind of play this game a little bit safer if need be, right? We don't really have to worry about the Steelers in the ranking sense, right? But I mean, let's just talk about the Steelers. The thing we're most worried about, and man, that's their defense, right? Steelers have always been a good defensive team, it feels like. To start, they've got on their line, they've got Cam Hayward, they've got TJ Watt that plays weak side linebacker, but really almost like a defensive end position at times. Then you have Keanu Benton, Larry Ogunjobi, or Ogunjobi. Gosh, I'm terrible at names. Ogunjobi, Larry Ogunjobi. I mean, those guys, Patrick Queen, Peyton Wilson, these guys are absolute studs. And then on the backside, you've got guys like Minkah Fitzpatrick and Cam Sutton, along with, if Joey Porter Jr. is healthy, that defensive backfield is absolutely a nightmare for quarterbacks. So I see a lot of maybe shorter, quick passes to try to get our guys open and really keep the pressure off Patrick Mahomes. Our team did a really good job against Houston. Our offensive line did to not allow Patrick Mahomes to get hit as much. He still got hit quite a few times, but he looked way more comfortable in the pocket than he did in prior weeks. So that's a big thing we need to kind of watch out for. When it comes to running backs or the offensive side, I'm not really scared about anything they can do running the ball. I mean, Najee Harris is a good running back. Jalen Warren, Cordero Patterson has had his years where he's just looked amazing. Now, a guy we are kind of familiar with, there's a chance he might be starting in place of George Pickens if he's not able to go, and that's Mike Williams. Mike Williams played for the Chargers, and then he moved on to who cares? But now he's at I think it was the Jets, and now he's in Pittsburgh, and it looks like he should be starting. So that's a guy we're pretty familiar with. Our defensive backs are pretty familiar with Mike Williams, Calvin Austin III, and Van Jefferson. Van Jefferson's a kind of a sleeper in my opinion. The guy's good at ball. He just is good at ball. He can get open when he needs to. So looking at his 2024 though, he does only have 21 catches, but it is for 258 yards. So when he gets the ball, it is for yardage. He has 113 yards at home. And with this being at home, we'll see. We'll see what he's able to do. And when it comes to Calvin Austin, he's kind of the number 2 receiver. He's got 32 catches and 500 yards on the season, 4 touchdowns. The guy is quick too, man. He's only 5'9", $162. He's like another Xavier Worthy, but he's not quite as quick. But man, he can get open, and he can get open fast. Excuse me. So yeah, we'll kind of see what plays out there, and how our guys kind of disguise coverages to try to confuse Russell Wilson. We're also very familiar with Russell Wilson, especially over the past 2 seasons where he played in Denver. I'm pretty, man, I don't want to say I'm guaranteeing this win. I do think we're going to win, but I think offensively, our offense to their defense is what's going to be tough. For me, our defense covering their offense is, I feel like we have quite the advantage there. And I do see Russell Wilson trying to get out of the pocket a little bit. They're not going to have Justin Fields behind him. He's going to be out. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what Russell Wilson's able to do. I'm not really, like I said, I'm not really worried about what else is going to happen with their offense. I'm more focused on what our defense is going to be able to do. So, yeah, man. But that's kind of all my thoughts and what I've got for this week with the podcast. I know it's going to be a little bit shorter because you're just hearing one side of opinions. You're not hearing mine and Dionte's sides of the opinions. So it takes a little bit less to record these because you are just listening to one. But I mean, that's pretty much all I got. I am excited to see what happens. I really do hope we clinch the number 1 overall seed this week. And man, I mean, it's only 2 days away. For those of you watching, if you celebrate it, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody. I'll get another video up before the new year, getting ready for the final week of the season. It's almost here. Playoffs are almost here, and Arrowhead Invitational is pretty much a lockdown. So with that being said, guys, until next time, thy kingdom come.